Hey everyone, we're going to spend some time going through the real estate buying process. So, this is the process for residential real estate. This includes detached and attached properties, whether it's single family, townhomes, duplexes, condos, apartments, multifamily properties, or agricultural. The process is fairly consistent for the most part, but does vary depending on property types, market conditions, and just how the deal structure is. One thing to keep in mind is that this is a process today, but it can look a lot different depending on government intervention and what happens in the future. So it's definitely important that you're working with a professional realtor that understands the market of the day. One thing to keep in mind is that um, this is a quick overview of the process, but there's definitely a lot of detail and information that's involved in each of these steps. So you made the decision to purchase real estate. The first step in that process is going to be to connect with a professional realtor. This initial meeting is going to give both sides a better understanding of the situation. As a realtor, the realtor is going to be looking at what your goals are, your short term and long term goals, um, your expectations for the process of purchasing, and what your needs and wants are, and educate you on what the market conditions currently look like. You, as a buyer, are going to come out of that meeting hopefully getting a better understanding of what your expectations look like versus reality. And the realtor will take the next step to connect you with their team, which would be a mortgage specialist. So, step two of the buying process will be to meet with a mortgage specialist. This meeting will really allow everyone to sort of connect the dots in terms of where things sit financially. The mortgage broker will paint a big picture in terms of what your financial situation looks like and allow your realtor to see whether your expectations are set too high or too low financially. Um, as both parties work together, the realtor and the mortgage broker, along with the buyer, it'll paint a clear picture on steps to move forward and what to expect and how to sort of dial in the search a little bit more. So now we're on to step three of the buying process. This is where the information that you gathered during the discovery sessions with your realtor and your mortgage specialist allow you and your realtor to start really putting a list together in terms of properties that match what you're looking for. Um, the situation can adjust a little bit as you go out a few times and view properties, and you may start dialing things in or eliminating or adding certain features or needs or wants to that list. But this is where boots are on the ground and you're starting to look at these properties and um, really starting to get a better understanding of what the market looks like out there. So, step four of the process, you've been out looking at properties and now you found a property that you potentially want to put an offer on. Um, it sort of hit all the check marks or the majority of the check marks that you wanted, and you're ready to take the next step on this particular property. So, now we're on to step five of the buying process. You and your realtor have found the property that best suits what you're looking for, and you're ready to make an offer on this property. At this point, you and your realtor are going to discuss what the offer would look like financially, the clauses and terms that are going to be part of the buying process, and what that whole picture will look like. So now that you and your realtor have had a chance to discuss the property and want to move forward with an offer, the realtor will take that information and prepare the offer accordingly, ensuring that you have enough time for due diligence. You are protected as the realtor's client, and you're 100% comfortable with moving forward. The offer will be prepared accordingly and then presented to the seller's realtor, where negotiations will take place. The negotiation process could take a few minutes, a few hours, or a few days. It really depends on how complex the deal is, market conditions, and overall what the goal is moving forward. So situations can vary depending on how all those things look. So negotiations went well, and you now have an accepted offer. The next step in the process is due diligence. And in most cases, this is going to be a few days, a few weeks, or a few months, depending on the property type and market conditions. There are some situations where you may be going in subject free, depending on the market and the property. But in most cases, you will be doing some homework on the property during this time. So that could be anything from financing. The lender needs to make sure that the property is viable for them to lend on. You'll also be doing things such as inspection, reviewing documents, whether they're strata documents or city documents on the property. And in some situations, you may be doing a feasibility study if it's a development property or an investment property. And all of this will allow you to come to your decision. So you and your realtor have completed the due diligence phase, and the next step is decision time. So if the decision is no, there's two paths to go down. One, you try to renegotiate and make the situation more comfortable for yourself. If that is not an option or that does not work out, then the next step would be restarting the search process, and you would look for an alternative property to move forward on. So if the due diligence process turned out to be positive and you're 100% satisfied with the outcome and what you found, and you're happy to move forward, the next step would be removal of subjects. So all the clauses and conditions that you put in place have been satisfied, and you are ready to remove that from the contract and provide a deposit to the seller. So that deposit would be provided in the form of a bank draft in most cases, which would be held in trust at your realtor's brokerage and then forwarded to the lawyer at completion time. Completion time can vary depending on negotiations and what the needs and wants of both the buyer and seller were, and property type and market conditions. So, in most cases, for a residential property, you're looking at a couple months, but that can vary. The realtor would also provide you with uh, team members such as lawyers and notaries at this time, and ensure that the paperwork and everything lines up and all of that file is forwarded over to the lawyer. So one of the last steps in the buying process is while you're waiting for completion and possession to happen. So in a real basic residential property, you're going to use this time to do things such as get service providers in place, gas, electricity, internet, cable, ensure that your files are all updated with your new address, and then you move on to sort of the bigger sort of development or multifamily projects. You'll use this time to ensure everything lines up, plans are in place, trades are lined up, ready to go when you do take possession. So the last steps in the process are completion followed by possession. So for completion, you're going to head to the lawyer's office, sign off on the documents. Funds would be transferred from you as a buyer to the seller, and the title would be registered under your name as a buyer. Um, Once that's registered, you now have possession of your new property and you're ready to take the next steps in the process, whether that's moving in or starting the project. I hope you found value in going through the steps involved in buying. We could definitely spend a lot more time in each individual step and exploring the different situations that may occur. So that there's a lot that goes into these deals, but that should give you a real basic overview of the buying process.